हाँ
स्टार्ट
सर
करूँ?
स्टार्ट करो। हाँ।
हाँ. Okay. Good morning, friends. I am Chintan Patel, working as an assistant professor in Bhagwan Mahaviri College, Surat. Now, our topic is suspension system. Now, first of all, what is suspension system? The suspension system of a vehicle refers to the group of mechanical components that connect the wheels to the frame or body. A great deal of engineering effort has gone into the design of suspension systems because of an unending efforts to improve vehicle ride and handling along with passenger safety and comfort. Now, suspension systems have evolved significantly since the earliest adoption from horse-drawn buggies to self-powered automobiles. But the basic requirements remain the same. Just as in the horse and buggy days, today's suspension system must provide for safe handling and maximum traction while being able to sustain passenger comfort. To accomplish these goals, modern suspension systems rely on various types of springs, shock absorbers, control arms, and other components. Now, now the purpose of suspension system to isolate the vehicle from disturbance so that the driver can keep control of the vehicle without causing discomfort to passengers. Now, system should minimize vertical motion as well as pitch and roll movements as the vehicle passes over an irregular road and is accelerated or braked heavily. Apart from these operational aspects, the suspension should also provide a good level of comfort for the passenger, minimizing the movements and acceleration imposed on and previous by them. The level of comfort is increasingly seen as one of the main contributing factors for purchase decision and satisfaction. The distribution can be caused by irregularities on the road or caused by load inherent of the operation of the vehicle, such as acceleration, braking, and turning, as well as aerodynamic load. Now, next one is suspension system, different components of suspension system. Now, all the components of the suspension system must work together to provide the proper ride quality and handling characteristics expected by the driver and passengers. Each component is overall system. If one part of the system fails, it can lead to faster wear or damage to other components. Therefore, a complete understanding of each component and how it is its function as part of whole suspension system is critical. Now, first component is used to control wheel movement used on both front and rear suspension. They are commonly referred to by their position, such as the upper and lower control arms. Common control arm configuration are shown in figure. Control arm are also called A arm or wishbone due to their similarity to begin A or wishbone shape. A arms typically have two connections to the frame and ball joints for connecting to the steering knuckle. The control arm mounts to the frame with bushings. These bushings allow for up and down movement of the arm while controlling back and forth motion. The bushings are generally rubber and steel and are pressed into the control arm. In addition to acting as pivots for the control arms, the bushing act as damper, twisting and untwisting to return the control arm to its original position. Also connected to lower control arms are stabilizers bar links. The stabilizer bar links join the lower control arms to the stabilizer bar. These links can be a set of bushings and washer or a solid link with ball and socket joint. Now second one is steering knuckle. Steering knuckle support the wheel and tire, brakes and sponge weight of the vehicle. A steering knuckle can be mounted in variety of ways for both front and rear suspension. Figure shows an example of a common steering knuckle configuration. The steering knuckle also has an attachment point for the outer rod end. A wheel bearing or set of bearings mount to the steering knuckle to provide the mounting of the wheel hub. Steering knuckle are also sometimes called spindles. The spindles portion of the steering knuckle is where the wheel bearing and brake spindle support those components and allows the wheel to rotate on the wheel bearings. Now next part is ball joints. Now ball joints allow the steering knuckle to pivot for steering while use joint. An illustration of a ball joint is shown in figure. Ball joint can be one of two types: load carrying or non-load carrying. Now, first one is load carrying ball joints support the weight carried by the springs. Provide a weight, just like load carrying joint, but without the sprung joint weight applied to them. Ball joints are mounted to the control arms in a variety of ways. The most common ways are a press fit, bolt in, and there are older vehicles are kingpin instead of ball joint. Now, next part is spring. The suspension have two important functions. Now, first one is to support the vehicle weight, and second one is absorb the bumps and movement that occur when driving. Next part is shock absorber. Now, shock absorber are actually dampers, meaning that they reduce or making something less intense. The spring do the shock absorbing while the shock dampen the spring oscillation. Without the shock, our vehicle would continue to bounce for a long time after every bump, dip, and change in body movement. The most common type of shock is a direct double acting hydraulic shock absorber. This means that the shocks are used to directly act on motion. Double acting means that they work in both compression and extension modes, and hydraulic means that a fluid is used to perform work. Compression is upward wheel travel and also zones. Extension is downward wheel motion and it also called rebound. Next one is control arm bushing. Control arm bushing are important for driving comfort and handling. The, they cushion the suspension system, which in turn control noise and vibration, and also provide a softer ride over bumps. Bushings can flex and move while retaining stiffness and the ability to retain return to their original shape and position. Now, there are two types of suspension system. First one is a non-independent suspension system, and second one is a independent suspension system. Now, first one is non-independent suspension system. It is also called dependent suspension system. Now, in dependent suspension system, still found on the rear of many vehicles and on the front of most heavy-duty vehicles. Dependent suspension sacrifice ride quality for strength. Since the movement of one wheel affects the opposite wheel, ride quality and handling suffer on this system. A large straight I-beam is often used to on the front of heavy-duty vehicles, such as buses and semi-trucks. An example of this shown in figure. This design is used for its strength and durability, but not provide the best ride quality. The rear axle on many RWD cars, light trucks, and SUV is a dependent live axle. An example is shown in figure. Live axle means the rear axle is driving the rear wheel. Since a live rear axle is one large assembly housing the differential gear and axle, it is dependent suspension system. Live rear axle are mounted on leaf spring, coil spring, or air spring. A vehicle with a solid rear axle that does not drive the rear wheels as what is called a dead axle or a rigid or straight axle. An example of this type of rear suspension is shown in figure. A dead axle supports the weight of the rear of the vehicle and can be fitted with coil, leaf, or air spring. A dead axle is a dependent form of suspension. Now, second one is independent suspension system. To provide the best quality ride, many vehicles use fully independent front and rear suspension system. This allows the vehicle to respond to varying road conditions much more effectively. Nearly all front suspension found on modern cars and light trucks are independent. Even four-wheel drive vehicles often have independent front suspension to improve their ride and handling. In figure shows how each wheel is able to move in independent suspension, while the upper image illustrates the movement of dependent or rigid action. In an independent suspension, each wheel can move independently, so a bump on one side of the vehicle does not affect the tires on the other side. This improves ride quality and maintains tire contact with the road for the remaining tires. Many rear suspension on a rear wheel drive vehicle are independent system. The differential is mounted solidly to the body or rear frame and short axle, similar to those found on the front of front wheel drive vehicles, are used to drive the rear wheel. This provides improved ride quality and handling. These suspension types are discussed later in this chapter, and this improves ride quality and handling. And the third one is semi-independent suspension. In semi-independent suspension found on the rear of many FWD vehicles, this type of system are used a fixed rear axle that twists slightly under loads. This allows for semi-independent movement of the rear wheels. This system typically uses coil spring or strut. The semi-independent system provides better ride and handling than a straight axle while not being as costly as a fully independent system. Now, there are the different types of suspension system. Now, the first one is leaf spring. Now, there are two main types: coil spring and leaf spring. Now, first one is leaf spring. Leaf spring are long semi-elliptical pieces of flattened steel are used on the rear of many vehicles. Leaf springs are typically mounted as shown in figure. Leaf springs have been in use since the horse or buggy days. A leaf spring is a long, flat piece of spring steel shaped into a semicircle. The spring is to the frame through a shackle or bracket assembly that permits changes in the effective length of the spring as it is compressed. To carry heavier loads, additional leaves can be stacked below the master leaf. Increasing the number of leaves increase load carrying capacity but makes the ride stiffer. Some suspension use transverse leaf springs that are mounted particularly to the frame. In the transverse arrangement, one leaf spring supports both sides of the suspension. This style was used for many years on the Corvette and on same FWD vehicle with independent rear suspension. Okay. Now next one is coil spring. Now coil springs are a length of steel wound into a coil frame. Used on most front and many rear suspension. Coil springs such as those shown in figure are large pieces of round steel formed into a coil. The spring absorbs energy as the coils are forced closer together. This is called compression. The stored energy is released when the coil extends back out. The energy continues to dissipate as the spring bounces. Actually, the energy is exhausted and the spring stops bouncing. Coil springs are found in front and rear suspension system, have a compact design and do not need maintenance. When the spring becomes fatigued or weak, ride height will drop and the spring will need to be replaced. Coil springs are often sandwiched between the lower control arm and the vehicle frame. In this position, the weight of the vehicle is pushing down against the spring, which is supported by the lower control arm. This configuration allows movement of the suspension while the spring carries the weight and damp out road shock. Coil springs often use rubber insulator between the spring and the frame to reduce noise. The coil spring used in strut suspension appear similar to those used in other applications, but are not interchangeable. Now, next one is torsion bar. Now, torsion bar are coil springs that are not coiled. Torsion bar are lengths of round steel bar fastened to a control arm on one end and the frame on the other end. Movement of the control arm causes the torsion bar to twist. The absorption of the twist is similar to coil spring. As the torsion bar untwists, the control arm returns to its normal position. Now, torsion bars are used in many 4WD vehicles where a front drive axle occupies the space where the coil spring is. Torsion bar shown in figure is mounted to the lower control arm and the transmission cross member. Now, torsion bars can be mounted in either the upper or lower control arms. The control arms act as a lever against the torsion bar, twisting the bar. The bar twists since it is rigidly mounted in a cross member. As it releases energy and untwists, the torsion bar returns to its original shape, forcing and control arm back in position. And advantages, now the advantages of the torsion bar is that they are adjustable. At the rear torsion bar mount is an adjustment mechanism. If a torsion bar equipped vehicle is sagging, the torsion bar may be able to adjust to bring the vehicle back into specification. When a torsion bar is replaced, it must be tightened to provide the necessary lift to support the vehicle. Now, next one is stabilizer bar. Now, stabilizer bar, also called sway bar or anti-rolls bar, reduce body rolls. These steel bars attach to the lower control arm or axle assembly and the body of frame. When the vehicle body starts to lift while cornering, the bar tries to move with the body. Since the outer ends of the stabilizer bar are connected to the control arm or axle, and the control arms cannot move upward, it forces the stabilizer bar to pull the body back down, limiting body rolls. An illustration of a stabilizer bar is shown in figure. Figure shows how the stabilizer bar is connected to the control arm. Some vehicles have adjustable stabilizer bar links, while some modern sports cars use electronic anti-roll system to reduce body movement. Regardless of the type, broken stabilizer bar link will cause excessive body rolls while cornering. Now, next one is shock absorber. Now, shock absorbers are actually dampers, meaning that they reduce or making something less intense. The spring do not shock absorbing while the shock dampen the spring oscillation. Without the shock, our vehicles would continue to bounce for a long time after every bump, dip and change in body movement. The most common type of shock is the direct double acting hydraulic shock absorber. This means compression and axial travel, also called zones. Extension is downward wheel motion and it is called rebound. Shock are typically mounted near the spring, while with the lower end of the shock mounted on a lower conductor oil as shown in figure. The shock piston moves up and down in the main chamber. This is where the shock resistance movement comes from. A shock may have an equal amount of resistance during both compression and extension, or it may have more resistance during extension. This is because the spring naturally resists compression and the shock adds much resistance to that of the spring. But since the spring will easily extend it out, the shock greater resistance on extension can help better control spring action. Now, next one is McPherson's strut. Now, the popularity of small FWD vehicles has brought with it the dominant environment allows greater engine compartment space and reduce weight compared to short or long arm suspension. Suspension eliminates the upper control arm and upper ball joint. This reduces weight and move the top of the suspension higher and toward the outside of the vehicle. The strut, which also acts as a pivot and damper. The upper mount provides flexibility so that strut can change angle to follow the path of the lower ball joint. The mount also allows for stability and control over the vehicle during traction. Because MacPherson struts are packaged with a significant structure in the front crash structure of the car, it is easier to engineer cars that pass more straight small overlap crashes with struts that are smaller and more conventional. And the design also means there are fewer joints in the suspension to wear over time, affecting handling and steering feel. Inverted mountable studs can also provide extra rigidity and stability in corners and corners where traction is less constant. Invest efficiently than other types of front suspension, which allows for significant cargo space in rear engine cars like the Porsche 911 and Boxster. Now, next one is air suspension. Now, air suspension is a type of vehicle suspension powered by an electric or engine-driven air pump or compressor. This compressor pumps the air into a flexible bellows, usually made from textile reinforced rubber. Unlike hydropneumatic suspension, which offers many similar features, air suspension does not does not use pressurized liquid but pressurized air. The air pressure inflates the bellows and raises the chassis from the axle. Air suspension is used in place of conventional steel spring in heavy vehicle applications such as buses and trucks and in some passenger cars. It is widely used on semi-trailers and trains. Vehicles that have used air suspension include models from Maybach, Rolls-Royce, Lexus, Jeep, and etc. Now the advantages of air suspension. Okay, it is a one. It has better driving comfort. It increase driving comfort. It has better drivability. It offers the driver a safer feeling. It automatically adjusts the ride height according to the vehicle speed. It reduces wind resistance effectively. It reduces fuel consumption. Vehicles with air suspension are often said to glide over bumps. It increases firmness and improved towing capabilities, provide a smooth and constant ride quality. It is often adjustable. Most truck models features height adjustable suspension, which is controlled by the driver, and it does make it easier to enter the vehicle, clear bumps, or clear rough terrain. It has a raising or kneeling facility for easy loading and unloading the vehicle. Now, air suspension system essentially replaces a vehicle's coil spring with air spring. The air springs are simply through rubber and plastic bags inflated to a certain pressure and height to mimic the coil spring. Performing simple maintenance tasks on your truck and trailer parts can ensure the longest life and best result of the air. Now, this is the all advantages and complete the topic. Thank you. Bhargav? Hello, Bhargav.